One of the things that I really care about is this idea of waking up in 5D. And I wrote the book that's, gone over all over the world. And it basically teaches everyone that we're already waking up in 5D. And how do we keep doing that? In the old days, we used to say, okay, when we become fifth dimension, when we make our ascension, and I early on figured out that we're not going to do it in one fell swoop. It's a little bit like you go there, then you slide back down, you go there, and you slide back down. And the reason is because we're not becoming masters all at once. We're working our way up. And when I think about how that works, I am reminded of the fact that when I was a young mother and I had children at home, and one of my sons, who's probably the most successful of all of my sons, but he was the most difficult one, was always in trouble. And I was telling my mother, how am I going to deal with this? She would always give me support. And then one day I called her and said, I can't believe it. He did this great thing. He's so mature. I'm so happy he's finally arrived. And my mother said, but just wait a minute. I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, when they take up and move up, then they usually follow with something stupid. And that's us. We're not making our ascension and our process all at once. We're sliding to where we want to be, and then we fall back into our old habits. And so for every one of you who is partaking in this class and this training throughout the whole 5 days, remember that no matter what you think you know and what you're learning, if you don't apply it all at once, don't be too hard on yourself. We're all doing this together, and we're all helping each other level up. And that's what's happening. We're all doing this one step at a time. So one of the things I like to tell people about is how to use polarity and how to understand that polarity isn't supposed to go away. Polarity is supposed to be elevated. And so how do you know the difference between using polarity or using it for you or against you? And the answer is we can look to electricity. And electricity has two forces, magnetic and electric. And some people refer to these as masculine and feminine, but magnetic is in-pulling and electric is pushing. So, but they're irresistible and they're opposing forces, kind of like relationships, right? And so look at the line and see it moving in an upward direction. And what I want you to understand is that this push-pull pushes us forward and takes us where we want to go. So we don't have to look upon it as something that isn't useful, but simply let it push you and pull you. Let it push you and pull you, and let it work for you. Now, one of the things I like to tell people is that there's lots of tools that you can use to deal with all the electromagnetic energy that's around you, things that influence you, energies that are being broadcast on you, you name it. And what I have found is that there is a scientific thing called a Faraday cage, which is an energetic cage, literally, that limits the availability of EMF and all those energies that are hard on our human bodies, our biologic forms. So we can call in an electronic Faraday cage or an energetic Faraday cage around our bodies and around our bed at night so that we're not affected by it. And I have been personally affected by the router, and I could feel it and hear it. And that's when I began to do this work and understood that I could change the energy with my clear intention, and so can you. So one of the ways you use your energy in a positive way is to choose words that are not polarity pejorative or hurtful. So what kind of a car is a new car? If it's not new, well, we could say it's a used car. We hear that it's a reconditioned car, and the latest one is it's a pre-owned car, which doesn't sound bad at all. But now play with polarity. What would you call your spouse's previous spouse? His ex-wife, his former wife, or his practice wife, or practice boyfriend, or practice girlfriend? It's kind of fun because it changes the energy and makes it okay to be in that place where you're in that polarity, but you're not letting it rule you. You're choosing how you understand it. Now, another tool that I really like people to understand is stop using the word have to. You don't have to anything. There is no right way or wrong way. The truth is, there is no such thing. The truth is simply how you perceive it. Now, there is universal truths, of course, but when you're talking with people or when they're trying to talk to you and they say, well, the truth is this or the truth is that, you can say, well, I appreciate that that's your perspective on it, but I have other information. I don't agree with that. It's okay with me that you don't think that, but this is what I believe. And make it safe for the other person to be right and make it safe for you to be right. I also highly recommend that you ask for help from the dragons and other figures like unicorns, angels, guides, serendipities, and the ETs of the light who are here supporting our evolution. They are here to ensure that we succeed. So who do you ask for help? Think of it more like a game show. You're allowed and expected to use your lifeline. Don't think of it, oh, well, I don't want to bother the angels, or I don't want to ask for help because it's too much trouble. If you're in trouble, ask for help. So one of the ways that I like to help people is to give them new words to use instead of the usual F word or the D word or any of those things, and change your language into something that's uplifting for everyone around you. And one of them is this phrase called, it's all divine. And I got that from my friend Tracy Samelo. So when you're upset or things aren't working, oh, it's all divine. And it might be a frustration that you're expressing, but you're changing the energy by relabeling it and reframing it. I got this one, God bless it, from Neil Donald Walsh. He said that every time his mother heard his father say the other way, she would follow it with God bless it. And he finally cornered her and said, why do you do that? And she said, well, I want the energy to be where I want it to be, not where he left it. And finally, I can tell you that if you ask the angels to show you a better way, because I know how good they are, you will be surprised. You will be amazed when you say to the angels, show me the solution to this because I don't see it. So another thing, stop explaining things. You don't have to explain yourself to others. You could if you want to, but you don't have to. You have a right to be who you are, where you are, no matter what. And asking people, why do you think that, doesn't mean you're negating your position. It simply means you're curious and you're choosing to find out. That opens your heart. You've opened your heart and your mind. One of my favorite phrases to teach you that will really bring powerful things your way is, I wonder what's going on. When something unusual happens, you feel you're pounding in your chest, or you feel you feel like you saw something that you're not sure what you saw, but you know it's not human, or you know it's not real, or you think it's not real, to say, instead of saying, well, that was weird or that was strange, to say, I wonder what's going on. I wonder what's going on. Every time you ask that question, the answer is forthcoming. You might not get it in the exact moment, but the answer will float in because you posed the question, you told the universe you're ready and willing to hear it. When things are not going the way you want, just pose the question, I wonder how that's going to work out. And amazingly, you'll be shown, rather than, I don't know how that's going to work out. That's a statement. But when you ask it as a question, you're letting the universe answer for you, and it does. Universe knows something I don't know. And this is because there's something going on that I don't understand. And that's a very powerful statement. So when you have something happen that frightens you, that hurts your feelings, surprises you, whatever it is, if you say, universe knows something I don't know, because I don't see how this is going to work out, you set the stage for the universe to show you. Now, this is a very interesting concept. A lot of people don't realize that they're teaching children to lie. And how do you do that? You ask a question that you already know the answer to. Did you do your homework? Did you break that dish? Did you eat those cookies? And the answer is always, you know the answer. You know who did it. Instead, you know, you ate, I think those cookies are gone. I'm guessing you're the one who ate them. I hope you'll eat your dinner because I'm expecting you to have good nutrition today. It changes the setup. It gives them a chance to be honest with you. And I have seen parent after parent tell their parent to ask their kids the question that they already know the answer to. If you already know the answer, don't ask it. Give your kids a chance and give them space to tell you the truth. And the way you give them space to tell you the truth, whatever it is, because they're having experiences you didn't have, is to say, this is what I'm concerned about. I hope it's going to be okay. I remember telling my kids one time, I know you know better than to jump off the roof of the garage and onto the trampoline. But I'm not so sure about the neighbor kids. So would you move the trampoline back to the center of the yard so there's no temptation to jump off that low roof? We all know what they were doing that day. Now, there are 5 things that you can do to unhook from the mass consciousness. And one of them is watching the weather and watching the weather prediction. You can change the weather where you are. There are ways to do that. There are tools that you can learn to do this. But you have to decide that mass consciousness version of how it is not going to work for you. So don't tune into that. Don't get rid of that app on your phone, the Weather Channel. I have hundreds of apps, but I don't have a weather app. And the reason why is because the weather prediction is simply that. It's just a prediction. So why should I listen to it and support what they're doing when maybe that's not what I want? Now, I will tell you that this kind of work is very high and very specialized. And when you move in that direction to do that, either because you're being shown by your own guidance or because you're learning in a class, always check in with your inner wisdom channel. Always find out, is it in the highest and best good of anyone who's being affected by it? Because that's important. You don't want to use your will or your ego to run roughshod on other people. One of the things I really like to do is give people a tool that will allow them to ask for a day or a week or a vacation of heaven on earth. And what that does is changes the energy. And the best story I know about that is a woman who had been asking for a day of heaven on earth, as I had shared with her, because it changes the vibe of where you're at. So she decided, since she had a family reunion coming up, and one of her siblings was adults, all adults. We're not talking teenagers, we're talking all adults were reuniting in one house. They were going to stay there for a week in a big, rental house. Her sister was always the troublemaker. So she kept asking for a week of heaven on earth during our family reunion. At the last minute, the sister called and said, I'm not coming. That's important. People don't want one person to not be there. And then she said, I'm checking myself into a detox facility. So the woman reported to me, we had the best time. And my drama queen sister, well, she had the best time too, because she got a detox and everybody wins. That was not something that she scripted. She simply asked for a week of heaven on earth. So who have you asked? What have I ordered from the universe? I'm so grateful for everything that comes my way. I'm so grateful for everything that I can do. Now, there is a wonderful article that I wrote on fear and loosh, and I'm not going to get into it, but I will tell you that your fear can be misused by you. So the minute you notice you're in fear, ask your angels, your guides, use tools, essential oils, whatever tools you have to unhook from your fear so it does not get stolen from you and misused by those who would have us fail. So now here's a really special opportunity. I'm going to take you through a short guided meditation and invite you to make a connection with your higher self and get shorthand signals for yes, no, and neutral. And what that will do is give you a protocol that will help you to access your higher self and learn how to connect with your higher self. So here we go. Close your eyes and get in your heart. We've had so many wonderful meditations already. Should be easy to be in a place of being centered. Let yourself think of something you love, a little one, a pet. Hear yourself say to that little one, I love you. And then send that energy upward through your throat chakra, third eye, crown, all the way to the 8th chakra, where the portal to your higher self is. Invite your higher self to join you in your heart. So you might say, higher self, please come into my heart. Higher self, I want to have my signals for yes, no, and neutral so I can verify what I'm getting. Higher self, show me yes. It could be a color, it could be a shape, it could be a sound, it could be an itchy ear. Higher self, show me again my signal for yes. Thank you. Higher self, show me my signal for no. What does no look like, feel like, taste like, sound like? Thank you. Show me again. Higher self, what does no look like, feel like, sound like, taste like? Thank you. Higher self, give me a symbol for neutral. Thank you. Show me again. What does neutral look like? Neutral's a little harder to hear or see or feel. Thank you. Okay, so open your eyes. You have 3 things you must do for 45 days. Only yes, no questions, unimportant questions, and no other divination tools. If you will practice this for 45 days with unimportant, insignificant questions, at the end of that time period, which would be November 15th, right before Thanksgiving, you will have accuracy like you've never had before. Then when an idea comes in that you think is coming in from an ascended master or an angel or a guide, you can say, is this my angels? Is this my guides? Is this my higher self? And only your higher self will be allowed to answer yes or no. So you ask about unimportant, silly things, but not outrageously dumb things. You don't ask predictive questions. And you ask always by using the phrase higher self, is it in my best and highest good to, and then name the action you want to do. Eat green beans at this time. Fix green beans. Wear my white shoes. No. Higher self is my highest best good to wear my red shoes. Yes. So you go through a process and you are playful. And at the end of that 45 days, you will have a solid, powerful tool that will allow you to always know the information that's coming in is accurate. To that end, you will start to change your energy in such a way that everyone who comes near you is a good person. Now, I don't know, do we have time, Brendan, to talk about the pineal gland?
We have about, I would say, 10 minutes, and then we got to, if you want to give a quick explanation, there's a couple questions we can kind of take as well, but yeah, I'm sure we can give them an overview real quick, so go for it.
Okay, so the pineal gland is the gateway, and your sinuses around the head are the way that you connect with the pineal. And it turns out that this is the equivalent, the space around your head is the equivalent of a satellite dish to call home. So I created a meditation called Activating Your Sixth Sense, the Golden Bowl Meditation. And that practice will help you gain mastery with that connection and open that channel up, which would be great. So how do you activate and clear your pineal? Well, the number one problem with your pineal is calcification. And we get calcification in lots of ways, but there's one primary way. Many ancient cultures knew that a clear third eye was related to a functioning pineal. So when you keep your third eye and your pineal clear, you gain full access to source, and you get higher mental states and higher states of meditation. So how do you clean and clear your pineal? So I highly recommend that you find a way to get your hands on tamarind. You can get it as a tincture, a product called Oil de Calque, which is also a tincture that will clear a lot of things and is very focused on keeping the pineal clear. Shilajit or shilajit, however you want to say it, it's a tar-like substance that you can take that is available online, and it's a bunch of micronutrients that has been found to be very powerful in clearing and cleansing the body. The Tibetans say that no healing takes place without shilajit. There are bliss oils from Dr. Norman Shealy, and then we have my brand of healing oils called Aramandalas, and walking in nature. So think about walking in nature we can do every day without any expenditure of time or energy. So the number one drama around your pineal is fluoride. It's found in everything, including packaging, which is crazy, but it's there. So do not assume that you have not been exposed to fluoride. Instead, do what you can to clean and heal it and maintain it. So pay attention to the water you drink. And some bottled water is fluoridated. So you have to know what's in the bottle and read the labels or go online and read what they put in it. Watch your food choices and pay attention to the environmental toxins that are around you. This is the information on the Oil de Calque. Tamarind is a fruit that you can buy either as a fruit or as a tincture. And then you can work on your third eye chakra. Your pineal is very small, but its blood flow activity is second to the kidney. So research tells us that the pineal is affected by EMF, sensitive to variations in light, and works with the circadian rhythms of the body. So how can you maximize that? You can be affected by EMF and ELF, and this is what the pineal would look like. This is actually a monument that's in a museum. Wi-Fi. Anywhere you go, there's Wi-Fi blasting at you and you don't even know it's there. And the way you know is when you open your phone and you see how many choices there are to hook into. The pineal is at right angles to the third eye, and there's a reason for that. It has to do with how we shift dimensionally. Why do you walk in nature? Because when you are in nature, especially without your cell phones, leave your cell phones behind when you go for your nature walk. And you can be more plugged in to the Earth's electromagnetic field, which will rebalance you. Stop sleeping with the lights on or lights in your window. And if you can, wear an eye mask because it improves your body's ability to rest. I always like to share something really sweet and funny. What happened to Ram Dass when his teacher, he gave his teacher an illegal drug? Nothing. It didn't affect him. He said he preferred meditation. All right, so let's stop here and we'll go to some of the questions and do our wrap up.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Maureen. Wonderful information for those of you who, again, may be quite new to a lot of this paradigm shifting information to learn from. And with just a few minutes left, just kind of taking a few of the questions here that have been asked and just kind of combining them into one question. Some people were curious about being able to connect with guides, and that was something that we talked about a bit. But I'm wondering if you can maybe even just, again, give people a way, like, if people were to try to explain to, say, other people who aren't familiar with this topic, if they were trying to explain to them what our guides are and what our higher self is, how would you explain that? Kind of, you know, explaining it to someone who may be brand new to this. Because I think if we just say to people, oh, I'm talking to my higher self, they don't really know what we mean. So how could we bring this language more into the mainstream and perhaps give people an understanding as they keep opening up to these ideas?
So your higher self is the version of you that's already plugged into God. So it's like your heavenly self. It's the version of you that has connection to your divine self, and it also has access to everything you care about. So it might know, let's say, that the program is operating a certain way, and you're told to bring something with you, and then when you get there, they, oh, I forgot mine. I'm so glad you brought your bowls because I forgot mine. Stuff like that. Your higher self will just filter in and tell you what you need to do. So your higher self is a resource. It's like your best friend, but it's also divinely connected. So when you ask your higher self, is it in my highest and best good to do anything? You are actually asking your fifth dimensional self, or the version of you that loves God so much, it only will choose a God-loving answer. And it also takes into account whatever's going on in your own world, your own everyday drama. Your angels are beings that were sent by God to help you remember how much you are loved. And so their job is to work miracles for you and to help you understand the world around you. So when you're in trouble or scared, the angels are great because they're like the emergency rescue team, but they're also available every day for lots of everyday stuff, but they're helpers. And then your guides are humans who have died as masters and are now back in this reality, serving humanity and helping show the way. So they're teachers and they're way showers because they can tell you how it is because they've been there and done that.
Beautiful. Awesome. Wonderful answer. And again, you know, it's so exciting because this big part of the paradigm shift is moving from the story of, okay, here we are, we're these very physical beings, but now it's opening up to this idea of understanding we literally are energetic beings. And one of the things that I talk a lot about, and, you know, when I'm having these conversations, I remind people, and I'm saying this because I'd love to just get your thoughts on it, because I know it's already relative to what you were talking about, where a lot of this information can seem, it's a lot to take in. But I think when we simplify it, one of the simplest ways to be able to direct people towards connecting with more of this is to be able to remind them that it's through the heart, that it's when we connect with the heart, that's literally how we listen. So like when we're listening to our guides, when we're listening to our higher self, we're listening through our chakras, if you're referring to them as that, or, you know, it's through the heart, it's through these portals. And these portals are accessing multidimensional, you know, information, even information
Absolutely.
From the future. Yeah, I'd be curious to just expand on that.
When you are tapping into this information, you are literally working through your heart and you're finding ways. There are ways that people have found to go around the heart, but then they still have to go back and do the heart work. So it's very useful to learn to open your heart and find ways to open your heart. One of the fastest ways to learn how to open your heart is to do the Merkaba meditation, because that creates an energetic field around you that keeps you safe. So even the incoming doesn't affect you. Now, there's one other thing I want to say, and that has to do with when you are excited because you've learned something and you've moved into the spirituality arena, we'll say, you're new, but you're still excited, you want to tell someone about it. And they ask you, well, what is that seminar you attended? Or tell me more. Don't tell them. Make them wait. Give them some answer that's short and sweet, but not a specific answer. So if they say, well, you seem pretty happy every time I see you, you come back from a seminar. What are these seminars you keep going to? What is that all about? And your answer is, oh, I'm learning meditation. Oh, I'm learning about how to, work with my inner energies or my emotions. You don't say anything more. And that's because they've opened their mind. Your friend has opened their mind. When they ask you a second time, what they have done is they've opened their heart. They've moved from being curious to being receptive. So if you wait to tell them, and don't tell them the first time they ask, just give them a little bit of a runaround answer, but an honest answer, you will find that when you do tell them, they won't run away screaming. If you get a question from someone and you start to give them what you just learned, they're gonna do a 180 and out of your space right away. So the best thing to do is to recognize that when you've been asked a question, no matter who it is, if they've never asked you anything like this before and they're not your buddy in this kind of genre of conversation, just give them a sweet, soft answer and wait till they ask you the second time. Because when they ask you a second time, they're genuinely interested.